And welcome to the big kick-off League of Ireland Sports Bar with myself, Roy Shanahan and Nathan Doyle. You will notice something. The goal, Shamrock Rovers, Finn Harps, ended 1-1 right now. Nathan, change of times at 8 o'clock have kind of got to us, haven't they? It's a little bit different this morning. I'm going to change that now. What game did you get to watch today, Nathan?
Well, I wanted to watch the Dundalk and Waterford game, and I got to watch about 2.5 minutes, I'd say, before I realised that the stream was completely unwatchable. So I had to change my allegiances and head over to the Brandywell to watch Derry City play Bohemians. So yeah, it's a shame. It's probably a shame to see that, the stream on the Dundalk side was so bad. It was just constant, chopping and changing our frame. There was time jumps. I thought it was got little in Groundhog Day or something. There was a goal kick, and then it went back to the goal kick, and the commentary was very low. Yeah, it was a mess, and it's a shame to see, because it would have been a lot of people excited to see how LOI TV would have gone on. Now, it might just be teething problems in their end, but like I said, moved over to Derry City, and while it wasn't perfect, it was definitely a better quality of stream. The multiple camera angles made a big difference. Replays. Thank God for replays. They do make a huge difference, especially in the Derry game. There's a couple of penalty calls, and you can actually go back and look at them and make your own mind up. So, yeah, they were a big relief. But hopefully these teething problems on certain streams can be sorted out because, it's a bad look.
Yeah, I was going to watch Shamrock Rovers game, realised that was at 8 o'clock. I did know that, but it slipped out of my mind. So then I just switched over to watch a bit of Shells and who's Shells playing? Bray, and the exact same thing was happening on the Shells and Bray game. Ball goes up into the stands, stops, ends up down the camera ends up down the far right hand side. I said, what's after happening here? And it goes through about 15, 20 seconds, and the ball's back up in the stands. Same thing, just going over the same loop again a couple of times. So yeah, I'm not mad about the camera angles in the first division. The way the camera moves, it's a bit, I suppose, blurry. It's a bit sort of stuttery. It's not great anyhow. But I did watch the Shamrock Rovers game against Finn Harps, and the camera was great. The thing they dropped now a few times in the first half, I thought it was my internet, to tell you the truth. I said, okay. And I went up to the lads upstairs and I said, what's the internet like? And he says, it's not great. So I blamed the internet. Then I went online and seeing so many people giving out about it dropping. And then actually at one stage, it came up across the screen, LOI TV, and then something like TTV or something like that came up. And I went, there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
But then again, these are teething problems. So yeah, we have to give them a couple of weeks with it. You said it, replays, unbelievable how much replays about the watching of a game, isn't it? I mean, there was about 5 or 6 things in the first half that got replays. And there was a penalty decision near the end of the Shamrock Rovers game, and I went, and then when you see the replay, gets a foot to the ball, no penalty for Shamrock Rovers. So yeah, the replays were so important, and it just shows you now these little things that they do on with TV stations, they're so important.
Especially for things like this, we want to come on here and have a chat, have a little debate about these big decisions in the games, but we spent the past couple of months just speculating and, and even asking people that are watching now to comment below and let us know what happened. And that's not what we want to be doing here. So, yeah, it makes a big difference, and it was genuinely, it was that bad at the Dundalk game. If I didn't have to jump on here and have a chat with you, I probably would have just gave up and went up and watched the Euros. And I didn't want to do that at all, I didn't want to be, first game in, I forget with League of Ireland, go watch it. But no,
wouldn't have done us any favours whatsoever.
No. How did Derry get on? I don't know, but I tell you, them Italians. But now, look, I suppose I'll jump into the game I did watch, really. Derry City and Bohs finished up 1-1. Probably a fair assessment of the game. It was you'd sort of know it was a game that was played just after a midweek break. There wasn't much tempo, wasn't much flow to the game. They seemed to cancel each other out a little bit. Both sides defensively pushed up with a pretty high line. It was quite a narrow game. Not a lot of wide players got involved, that's a nightmare for two sides like Bohemians and Derry, especially Bohs. Ross Tierney was nullified for a good bit of the game. Will Fitzgerald for Derry, who's a key player for them. Akintunde, another one out on the left-hand side that just didn't really get much of a sniff. But when they did, when things calmed down, the Derry City in particular were a bit more calm with their passing, a bit more measured. And when the opportunity got the ball out to the likes of Fitzgerald or Will Patchen was probably the key player, the real standout player for Derry today, or probably in the game overall. You could see that's where the danger was going to come from. Like Patchen had a couple of balls in, David Parkhouse had a couple of chances from headers. So, that was a bit of a sting for them. There was the two holding midfielders played well for Bohs. Ali Coote in particular, he popped up with a late goal as well, took it well. So, yeah, 1-1, probably a fair assessment. Probably a better result for Derry in the grand scheme of things, especially going 1-0 down.
Yeah. Are you looking at Derry City now and thinking this is a different team altogether now? There's a shift in how they're playing, and a shift in maybe their focus, their mentality since Higgins came in.
Yeah, definitely. It was, like I said when Higgins came in, that he should probably just focus on just staying away from the bottom two. It's probably not really going to be an issue at the minute. Well, at the moment, there seems to be that gulf in class already, doesn't there, from Waterford, Longford and the rest. In fairness, we're going to get on to Waterford. They got a good win, but points-wise, there is still that bit of a gulf. But yeah, you can see, like I said, they went 1-0 down. Derry City at the start of the season, when they went 1-0 down, you probably think there wasn't much hope for them, but they were out of the two, they might edge shift to be the better side, Still, draw was probably a fair result, but they got on the ball when they could well. Like I said, Will Patchen was fantastic. I talk about Boyce is becoming my new James Brown at the back for Derry City. He's impressive. He's good to watch, Parkhouse, again, what he didn't get in the score sheet, he's dangerous when he drops in deep, like for a big guy, he does tend to drop deep to get the ball. And he links up play well, he's big, he's physical, so he can hold the ball up, he brings players into it. So there's good key players there, some of the young lads as well coming off the bench. Jack Malone, for example, the energy that he brought on was brilliant, there was just an instant impact as soon as he came on. So while that the strength and depth might not be there in Derry City in terms of experience, having these young lads that, are confident in themselves and confident in their ability, and you can clearly see that that's what the likes of Rory Higgins and Raf Katara gives them.
Mm. Yeah. What about Bohs? How did they look? Similar to what they have all season, or is there any change with them?
Yeah, it's a tough one for Bohs, isn't it? We've seen them going out before the break and they look fantastic, especially in that 5-1 win at Dundalk. They absolutely steamrolled them. They found it difficult today. They found it difficult to get into it. Like I said, the Wire players were nullified, and that's always going to be difficult when you're a side like Bohs and you put someone's emphasis on them lads out there. It was very central, quite narrow, and that credit has to go down to the Derry City back four. They just kept them really, really quiet. Georgie Kelly, here we go again. We're probably going to be picking on him a little bit, but he was like I said, Parkhouse had to drop deep. Kelly had to do that too, but it just wasn't really as effective as Parkhouse. It just doesn't seem to suit him. He seems to be happy enough, and he's on the shoulder of the last defender. And there's moments where he was isolated. He was a little bit sloppy at times. Now, look, they'll be happy enough with the draw. They probably felt they've had a couple of chances. Really, this one could have went either way, especially in the second half. There was a lot of swinging of possession and swinging of momentum. But yeah, to be okay with this one, this is a Derry City team that is ever improving every time we watch them play, and they've come up with a late enough goal in the manner that they did. It wouldn't be probably not the worst result.
Okay. I watched the Shamrock Rovers and Finn Harps game. I was really looking forward to seeing this game because, again, different Finn Harps this year. Shamrock Rovers, obviously, in everyone's eyes, kind of the top side in the league, even though Sligo are top of the division at the moment. When I look at Shamrock Rovers, there's talk about they have so many injuries, and it's very hard for them to I suppose at the moment this is not their excuse, but people keep mentioning it that they're missing players, and this is probably why they're dropping points. But Shamrock Rovers has the biggest squad probably in the division. They've got everything behind them. If Shamrock Rovers can't cope with a few injuries, then no one else has a hope in hell. So I don't see that, and I don't think I wouldn't say that they're themselves are looking for that excuse at all. But at the moment, Shamrock Rovers are not playing at peak Shamrock Rovers like we seen them last year. They're not even playing at peak Shamrock Rovers that we seen them at in the first 4, 5, 6 games of the year. They're just a little bit off it at the moment. Finn Harps, everyone always talks about Finn Harps, how hard they work, right?
Yeah.
Every team should be working hard. So there's nothing new about that. Finn Harps work absolutely unbelievably hard. But when they got on that football, they pass it around really, really well. And in all fairness, especially in the first half, Finn Harps got through Shamrock Rovers on a numerous amount of times. And it was a very, very even game. The only time the game started to turn was probably the last 20 minutes, where it just looked like Finn Harps were starting to run out of legs and Rovers were capable of keeping the ball and switching from side to side. But they never got through in the end. The 2 goals... The goal for Shamrock Rovers, Tbko makes a mistake. He gets on the ball. He takes 3 or 4 touches to turn around to give the ball back. Gaffney intercepts him, and it's a simple pass across for Green to tap into the goal. A mistake there. The same with the Finn Harps goal. McNamee, who was excellent. I thought he was absolutely excellent. Fed in Foley again. Foley's record is gone now. He did every game he scored in, they won. Today he scored, they only drew. But I'm sure he's not disappointed with that. Seems to be top scorer now in the league. But it was out left. He seemed to be playing very left of the, I suppose, that centre forward role in the first half. And he went more into that centre forward role in the second half. But on this occasion, you drift out right. McNamee was out right. They kind of isolated, I think it was Scales, played a little ball in through him on the inside. Foley went around, and it was such an acute angle. There was no player to pass it to, and Foley just hit it for between Manus's goal, or the goalkeeper's legs, the only place he could, and slots in from an acute angle. Probably shouldn't score, but just probably the 2 goals could have been prevented, but I think it was a fair enough result. I mean, 1-1 is a fair enough result for these 2 teams, and they looked on par. Bar the last 20 minutes, as I said, when tiredness came into the game for Finn Harps, they looked on par. There didn't seem to be anything between the 2 of them.
Yeah, it's like you're saying, it's a strange one, isn't it? Like you've seen Shamrock Rovers in recent times. He drew to Derry City, lost to Dundalk and Sligo. Even the game before the break, I know they beat Longford, but it was down to a last gasp winner by Rory Gaffney. It's like, I know, I'd be the same as you. I wouldn't put too much stock into the whole injury front. You know, but look, it is an issue there. You know, like I'm not saying there's not players injured, but when you have the quality that they do, it's sort of different. If it was a Longford side that were missing a lot of key players, you'd sort of understand it then, you know. But like, it's hard to see it's hard to say that's a bare bones Shamrock Rovers side. And I suppose one thing we have to be looking at as well is, you know, Richie Tell was there today. He was in attendance, saying he was at the game. Do you now see, after watching Rovers the past couple of weeks, do you now see a position and opening up for him? Because a couple of weeks ago, even me and you were debating that, would he walk into that team or would he have to fight for his place?
Yeah, they changed. They had 2 up front again today. They had Gaffney and Green up front. In behind them, Mandreu. Not Mandrew, Mandreu they were calling him, because they asked him what his name was. All right. So anyway, they had him in behind the strikers.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was working relatively all right, but they changed it then. Took off, I think it was, is it Max Power? Is that his name on the left-hand side? Or
Max Murphy.
Max Murphy.
Max Power is your man of the Simpsons.
That's the one. Yeah.
That's the one.
So he was on the left-hand side, and he took him off and put Green onto the left-hand side of midfield, and then played 1 up front at Gaffney, and then played the 2 in behind. Burke came on, and I can't say Mandrew or Mandreu. We'll say Mandreu. If that's his name, that's his name. All right, yeah. We'll just have to get around it.
Yeah.
But for me, it didn't change a whole lot. Right, they got more possession of the ball, but I think that was going to happen anyhow with the tiredness, the fatigue taken into the legs, because they work really hard, Finn Harps, to keep up with the pace, and you know, there is that still that superior element to Shamrock Rovers over every other team, and that's going to come in, especially towards the end of a game. So teams are going to have to work hard to be up at their level, but that is going to drop off. And that's why you see so many late goals, because they are such a good unit, Shamrock Rovers. But yeah, it didn't see it. Some of the last-ditch defending, some of the saves, it was really, really gutsy stuff in the end for Finn Harps. But that takes nothing away from how well they played during the whole game.
Yeah, it's been a real revelation in a way for Finn Harps this season, hasn't it? We've said it loads of times, like it's just watching them play and watching them actually have a good standard of football this season. It's just a fresh breath of air from side that even we actually had Darren Markey on during the week, and he said the same thing, didn't he? That it's the reputation of the rough and ready Finn Harps is almost gone now, because you have a lot of players that are comfortable with the ball at their feet, and the likes of Adam Foley, his movement in behind is, for me, it's one of the best in the league. I think every week I seem to get on George Kelly's case of Bohemians, but it's because the physicality is there and the strength is there, but you see someone like Adam Foley doing it, and it's just great to watch. And it's simple. It's simple things, just a bit of off the ball movement and positional awareness, but to see him doing it, it's absolutely brilliant. And they're playing a big game against Derry City next week, and they're still sitting comfortably in mid-table, when does it come to a stage where, we actually probably start taking them serious as European contenders?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Now, when we look at the rest of the results, it's just baffling, some of the results. And we're going to go straight on to the Dundalk match that you wanted to watch, but you couldn't watch. And I think you're kicking yourself now that you didn't get to see it. A 3-1 victory for Waterford. And for us, especially, we talked about it on the League of Ireland, the Big Kickoff League of Ireland podcast, which you can see on Spotify, SoundCloud, and all other podcast providers. You and myself, especially myself, I've looked at Waterford, and we said that we hope that there's a change with the new manager, new owners, that they can kick on and get something so their season isn't over already. They certainly done that tonight, didn't they?
Yeah, brilliant. This is probably this result couldn't have came at a better time, straight after the break, so whatever Berkham has been doing with the lads, it's always been working, I've said it, since he came in, I didn't know much about the new manager, so I want to do a little bit of, just not a bit of a background look, see what he's about, and listen to some interviews, he is a very likeable guy. I'd say his motivation is brilliant, he's only a young manager, so he'd be quite relatable as well, as a former player too, so whatever he done is work, and this is an absolutely excellent result for them. And it's two teams that both of them needed a good result. Probably more so Waterford in terms of the standing in the table. Dundalk probably just needed it for morale more than anything else. Like I say, as bad as this season is, you wouldn't imagine Dundalk will be in the bottom two come the end of the season, where Waterford are still, and even away from this result, they're still in serious trouble of getting relegated. But away from the negativity, we have some positives to talk about with Waterford. New manager, new owner coming in, 3-1 away from home, going to Oriel Park. Any stage going to Oriel Park is a difficult place. We've seen. So it's what Shamrock Rovers got beaten there. St. Pat's struggled badly. So it is still a difficult side, but a difficult place to go. But yeah, John Martin popping up with the 2 goals. He'll be the hero of the day. Massive result, really, really massive, and you just had to push on now and keep that momentum going.
I'm looking at the league table here, Nathan. Dundalk are 3rd from bottom now. This is after 15 games. This is not a blip. This is Dundalk in a bit of a crisis now. And I suppose we talk about next season. There's already talk about budget cuts.
Yeah. So
this goes from the unbeatable Europa League, great runs, just a great club over the last 10 years or so. And is this where it all could start tumbling down?
Yourself, when European football joins out of your club, it's a big, big worry, isn't it? From any club at all, but especially if you look at Peak Six, they've made it known that that's their goal. The goal isn't to come in and be successfully in Ireland. It's a transition that success into regular European football, like even if it is getting into the Europa League group stages or now the Europa Conference League, and that's the worry, isn't it? Because as much as, and I can understand, now we've talked about the Dundalk fan protests, and 100% I love that, would always be, that's people's right to do it, just to protest in a good manner, but realistically, a peak six worth it to get out of the club. He was coming in. Like he was going to be coming in to replace them, and the financial backing that they have there is so important. And like we're saying, budget cuts are coming in. There's talk of Jimmy Gentleman will be staying on as the manager. That's probably not the most exciting news. Probably Dundalk fans wanted a bit of a higher profile name, and it's probably the cheap and cheerful option. So yeah, it's definitely worrying. If you take European football out of the equation, it's not going to get better anytime soon.
Do you think that Dundalk are better with peak six in or peak six out? Because at the moment, we'll talk about, right, they have money there behind them and if they're willing to put money in. But on the other side, they're making awful decisions.
Yeah.
So does it matter a damn if you have the money or not, if the decisions are as brutal as they have been?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because like I said, if they pull out already, that's the money's a big issue. And I think that goes back to the protest where it's not really about peak six. It's more about the chairman, Bill Hulsizer. So whether you need sort of a changing of the guard internally, would that change things up a little bit? I think that's the big question mainly because, yeah, the backing of peak six, that can't be a bad thing at all. Like you were saying, just decision making. So maybe you might need a bit of rotation in that regard.
Okay, rotating the squad. Okay, you're not kicking them out just yet, Nate.
No.
I wouldn't necessarily be on the same page as you. I think if they're making those decisions now and they can't communicate with each other and rectify those decisions, and one of the decisions is who's their manager. We talked about this on the League of Ireland podcast during the week, or the Big Kickoff League of Ireland podcast during the week. They haven't got a manager in place, and it's been so long since the last manager left, and they still haven't resolved it. It's going beyond the joke now. For me, Nathan, I couldn't. Again, you talk about, right, they'll take money out, but maybe Dundalk now have to take a step backwards to make a step back forwards again, because it's looking like a bit of a shambles there to me.
Yeah, the management thing is, it was back in April when this all started. That's far too long to be going, isn't it? Like we were saying, we've seen Jim McGuinness coming in, that fell by the wayside. David Healy, Jesus Christ, there was literally people had his bags packed at one stage to be coming down. Seems to be happy where he is, and so that's probably a reason behind that. Vinnie Peart, same thing. There was a place to be personal terms what agreed on Monday. That seems to be going away. So it's just an absolute merry-go-round. It's something that needs to be quick. That needs to be sorted quickly. And even if that is stick with Magilton and bringing in Dave Rogers as his assistant, just to have that bit of stability, and because the rumours of so much uncertainty can't be good. So you add in the rumours of managers, budget cuts, players leaving. It's just a whirlwind, and this result will do no favours to anybody whatsoever. And there was 100 fans in Oriel Park tonight, and I think they're very, very lucky that isn't full of fans, because they'll be definitely making their voice heard, and it will not be pretty.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go to the First Division. Galway 2, Athlone 1. Nathan, Athlone starting to struggle a little bit after such a great start. And we're not getting to see the games, yourself and myself. We can only watch one game at a time. But, again, this seems to be another backward step for Athlone, where you would have thought that they'd kick on. On the other side for Galway, they needed this badly.
Big time, yeah. They'll start with Athlone. They got off to such a good start of the season, but then they lost 3 in the bounce. Got a decent win against Cove, and now they lost 2 in the bounce. So they're barely drawing any game. I don't think they've drawn a game all season. I don't think they drew a game on the opening weekend, but they seriously are trading wins and losses. And yeah, this is one that he probably would have took a draw out of, but with the form Galway are in, it's tough to tell. They're relying a lot on late goals. We've slated them a little bit, and rightfully so. We expect them to be up in the top of the table, but it's this time it was a late goal, but not for a draw, but for an absolutely vital win. Padraig Cunningham popping up. That's his 3rd goal of the season, and all 3 of them have come in the last 3 minutes of the game. So if there's ever a man you need to be late in the day, it's him. Massive result. For Galway, absolutely massive. We're going to get on to other results in the league, but Shells, another fantastic result for them. They're going to start to pull away a little bit. UCD surprisingly dropped some points. So, for Galway, these are the games they need to be winning. It's all well and good picking up points against the likes of Wexford, but they need to be beating teams ahead of them. And it's a good step in the right direction. Again, by going off it, late goals. It probably suggests a little bit of a smash and grab. But if you're Galway fan at the moment, you probably couldn't care less, because this is a big result for them, despite the fact that Lowen have been patchy.
Shells, they're walking it now. They just seem to make, as you said it earlier on to me off air, they've made a statement now. They're bossing teams who are supposed to be challenging them for the league. Bray again here today. I mean, they just wiped the floor with them, 4-1.
Yeah, 8 points clear now at the top. Again, going back to UCD dropping points, this is a huge win for them. Ryan Brennan popping up with 2 goals again. He's been absolutely on fire for them this season. Actually, just a quick little off topic as well. I've seen Greg Bolger won the Player of the Month in the League of Ireland. Yeah, I definitely have Greg up there. Personally, I couldn't see anybody but Ryan Brennan. He's been absolutely fantastic this season. So again, he popped up with a double. Michael O'Connor popping up with another goal, and he's starting to find his shooting boots. This is a player that seemingly had a lot of potential, seemed to have a lot of the physical attributes, and it seems to be good side for his game, but there's always questions around his goal scoring ability, but that seems to be coming now at Shelbourne, whether he's started kicking into gear. But look, they beat Galway 4-0 before the break. Now they've beaten Bray 4-1. The 2 huge results, like we're saying, that they're not only scraping by teams, but they're beating them comfortable enough. And for Bray, it's another big setback for them, isn't it? It really is. It's a side that is just struggling badly for any sort of form. They're still down in 7th. They're still a little bit off the playoffs. Similar to Galway, a lot of people had them, yourself included, to be doing well this season, and they're in desperate need of just a consistent run of games, a consistent run of wins, more than anything else. They're playing UCD next. They're playing Athlone after that. It's going to be difficult. It really, really is.
It's funny, isn't it, Nathan? When you look at the league, like I'm looking at the table there now. They're on 14 points. They're in 7th. In 2nd place, it's 19 points. There's not much of a difference. And as you said, there's 2 games that are tricky enough games for them next. But they could easily go and win those games, and all of a sudden they're in a good position again. It's just that type of league.
Yeah, it is a mad one, isn't it? It is. It's a very strange one. It's more so. Well, I suppose, look, UCD got off to I think the UCD game was probably to see was more of it shock than anything else compared to Athlone. The Athlone result, they have been traded in wins and losses. So, look, things can change, but I'm not too sure. It doesn't seem to be much clicking at Bray. They've a bad 2-0 defeat to Treaty United as well. I think that says a lot more really than getting beaten by Shells. I think Shells, you'll see Shells doing this throughout the season. But they've dropped some silly points throughout the year, and the 2-0 defeat to Treaty before the break is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, I just noticed your top there, and I never seen. Is that the new St. Pat's crest?
The Mickey Mouse Club.
Okay, we go on to who we got next. Cork again. Listen, Cork. We kind of predicted this was going to happen this year for Cork. I mean, they've struggled at the end of last year. They struggled throughout last year. They've lost players. They've financial difficulties. I suppose it was predictable, and it's just coming to fruition now. You can't see, no matter what, it's very hard. If they turned it around, got a playoff spot, and did well, and that it'd actually be something that I'd be very surprised by, because they just seem to be at their limits at the moment, and they'll pick up a couple of points here and there, but they don't seem to me like the team that are going to challenge. But when you look at the likes of Bray, even Galway and stuff, you just have a bit more sort of faith and hope in them.
That's the key, isn't it? Like we've talked about teams that have underwhelmed, but you still have that little belief in them, and there's still that little bit of quality in the squads of Bray, Galway, and teams like that. That have been experienced, and they've even been up in the Premier Division with Cork City. It's a good few younger lads in the squad, so you can't really pick anybody out that's going to pull them out of this position that they're in. The guys like Corey Galvin that has left the club, so. These are players that have been there for a while, and just to see them gone must be disappointing for them. Like you even said to me before we came on here, that was the season really. That like you were saying, you didn't think there's going to be much over it, and I think I'll go along with that one. This is probably more so a good win for Cabinteely. In fairness to them, they're handing around in 4th place, and they're a side that. Myself, I thought he would have just fell off a little bit by now, but they're still handing in. They're still picking up good results. Now they were beaten by Wexford shockingly before the break, so this be a good win for them. To sort of rectify that a little bit, because they defeated Wexford and they defeated Cork City back to back would have been a bit of a disaster. If you look at them two sides and how badly they're struggling.
Yeah, Treaty beat Wexford tonight 2-1, but there you go again. Wexford just looking that little bit stronger.
Yeah.
It's amazing what a change in manager will do. And I suppose when you look at that and you see a couple of other clubs who have changed their manager, but they've actually put a manager in place, you look at Dundalk, then you're going, what the hell is that? You know, everyone else who's changed, who let go of a manager, have brought in another manager, done their business real quickly, and it's a change in form or you know, performance. It just beggars belief. Anyhow, let's not go back to Dundalk, but let's go back to Wexford and Treaty. Again, Treaty, it's great. Like they're really pushing. They're up in third place, 19 points, basically joint second. This is not what they expected. They expected to challenge. As in challenge game by game. They expected to get points on board. You know, they're probably happy enough to be a mid-table team and build on that. This would throw everything out the window if Treaty went up this year.
Yeah, it really would, wouldn't it? And it'd be all credit to them, you know. We've said it a few times that the lads that you even managed to recruit in such a short time frame was brilliant. And you're seeing, you know, like there's that bit of grit at the back. The defensive record is really good. The likes of Mark Ludden and Charlie Fleming, just to name two lads, regulars in the back four. So that's paying dividends to them. Anthony O'Driscoll, was it? O'Donnell, Anthony O'Donnell, I don't know where I got O'Driscoll from. Anthony O'Donnell popped up with another goal, you know, he's been a regular provider of a goal. So, you know, these are key players to have around, and they're chipping away, you know, like we said, they picked up a good win against Bray before the break, a win here. All fairness, you know, you'd fancy a lot of sides going to Wexford. Even in Wexford, you know, it's a difficult enough place to go, but this would be a good win for Treaty. If you're going to pick up one positive, I suppose, if you are a Wexford fan, Kyle Robinson scored again on loan from Pats. Wexford have only scored 5 goals this season. He's popped up a trade him. So if you're looking at some sort of talisman for the club, he might be the answer this year. But look, it is what it is with him. The new man just come in. He's obviously changed the way they're playing, and they're not getting rolled over anymore. And like we're saying, they even actually beat Cabinteely before the break. So there's improvements coming, but they're going to finish up rock bottom, and I think they know that themselves, you know, but it's all about building for the future, and it's going to be a slow process, but they seem to be getting there. Slowly but surely it seems to be, and I know it's mad to say that about a team that got beaten, but you do have to look at the minor improvements when you're in a situation like that.
Yeah, and I mean, you're not going to go down any further, and you're building for next year, so
you can't go any lower.
Momentum you can get going and into next season, and then you know, if you build a bit of momentum during the end of this season, you may catch the eye of a few people who mightn't have a club who might want to come to you, and you know, then it builds on it again. So yeah, definitely something there to play for Wexford, even though, as you rightly said, they're not gonna step off that bottom spot at all. UCD beaten by Cove. Is that the surprise of the night? Because did you not say that these were the bankers?
I was about to say, that's the banker course again, isn't it? Oh, Christ. I'm just starting to become a wanker to some people. I'm the banker. So, yeah, don't listen to me when I tell you who's going to win games, because I'm clearly not good at it. Yeah, look, great. It was not a good result for Cove. Not a great result for Cove. Just their second win in the bounce. They beat Cork in the Cork derby before the break, and now a huge win. They went 2-0 up, 2 goals by Jake Hegarty. That's his 3rd goal now in 2 games. So he's starting to come into a good bit of form too. UCD pulled it back with a penalty on the hour mark by reliable Colin Whelan. But in fairness to Cove, they held on, and it's a big result for them, you know, especially when you look at even Cork dropping more points, Bray dropping points. You know, they're climbing slowly. I'd have them in the position of Cork, where I think teams ahead of them have a little bit too much for them to go to the playoffs. But we said it last year, I will say it again, you know, Cove, they're always a difficult team to play, home or away, and they're going to sort of be the gatekeepers to the playoffs, and they're going to nick points.
Okay, let's have a little chat about LOI TV, because I know we touched on that at the start of the show, but your thoughts, firstly, on, I suppose, the game you seen was Bows and Derry. What did you like about it? What was the half-time experience like?
There was none really. There was just ads popping up. So for diamonds, the short sponsor just popping up on the screen, just popping up. So it was a bit strange. Then after 5 minutes, they just went and showed highlights of the first half. Which, when I know a lot of clubs promised half-time analysis, no, there wasn't really much of that at Derry. It's just a bit of advertising, which I'm all for. You know, the advertisement is important, and it's actually something I even said to you. I don't know if it was on camera, off camera, whatever, but I said to you even with Watch League of Ireland, surprised you haven't integrated some sort of ads during the breaks, you know, just to bring in a bit of extra income. So I understand that needs to be a fixture for 4 days, especially if the clubs are running the production side of things themselves. It's not RTE doing it. So yeah, I can understand that, but yeah, I thought it would have been a little bit more like I was saying to you, I caught the Dundalk and Waterford game for about 5 minutes, and I actually watched even before the match started, and they had Chris Shields. He was on doing a bit of analysis work before the game, and that was all pretty good, really enjoyable. That was a nice fixture to see. So yeah, we can sort of bring that into half time. It'd be good. I enjoyed like I said, you wasn't a fan. I thought the multiple camera angles sort of changed things up a little bit. You know, it did make it very stagnant. The commentary wasn't too bad. I think it's going to be a bit of an issue as well when the clubs are providing their own commentators. There's going to be a little bit of bias in there. It got a little bit draining sometimes. Listen to the two lads in Derry. Now they're very informative, and that's the sort of things you need. You know, you don't want two lads just nattering on and off. In fairness, they threw some stats and even surprised me. Like you're saying, Keith Long was the second longest reigning Bows manager, and didn't know that. I was surprised over that. So a little bit of nuggets like that were pretty good. But yeah, I think it just toned it down a little bit on, you know, bring a little bit more balance to the game than what it can be, because even from a neutral side of things, I did find it very noticeable at times.
Yeah. The Shamrock Rovers halftime experience, I suppose you can call it, they showed their merchandise. So straight away they come up when it was merchandise. You know, they have this, they have that and all. But it looked well. They did it well. It was produced very well. Then they went into a thing where they were promoting Shamrock Rovers Football Club TV. And it was kind of little clips. And then the players coming up, you're looking at SR, FC TV. And then it'd go in and out, that kind of thing. And then it went on to another part where it showed the behind the scenes of their academy, and they were talking to the academy, the director and stuff like that, and showing the kids playing, training, stuff like that. So kind of they were promoting their own club, and I thought they did it very well. Okay, right, they don't have the budget to do halftime analysis. That's fine. But the fact that they had replays in the game, you had your own analysis. You made your own mind up anyhow. And sometimes you don't need someone else telling you 30 times that it was or wasn't a penalty when you've seen it yourself 3 and 4 times and you know it wasn't a penalty or whatever you decided. So, yeah, I wasn't too upset about how Shamrock Rovers did it. I thought it was quite well. I think it was Con Murray, am I right? Is that right? The commentator, he was doing anyhow, I think, the commentary. I thought he was good. I can't remember who was with him. Someone from Shamrock Rovers, but I can't remember who it was, who was with him. And I thought they were generally good. And I didn't think... They did say we sometimes, the odd time, but they were very balanced about praising both teams. So I thought it came across very well. So yeah, I thought it was generally much better than Watch LOI.
Yeah, definitely. And in fairness, the wee thing is going to come across. You know, like if anyone's listening from LOI TV, here's up. I'll do a Pats game. But if hypothetically speaking, if I was able to do one, which, you know, I'm available to do in case anyone's looking.
Well, we're ready. You're ready to go, aren't we?
Yeah.
We'll do anything.
Hit me on a blower. Hit me up. We'll travel. We'll bring me on lunch. But yeah, look, it's got things like that are going to slip out. But now I enjoyed it as well. I popped over at half time for the Dundalk game just to have a look, see what we're doing, just to see what's the stream back up and running. It wasn't. But yeah, they were like that. They were promoting local businesses. There was a lot of talking about with local bars. So these sort of things, it's all good. It's like we're saying, that for us, the halftime analysis isn't the be all and end all. I just thought there would have been a little bit of it, but yeah, all good things. And it's going to be interesting, you know, because clubs are doing their own thing. It's something to sort of try your eye on, isn't it? And see what different clubs are doing through half time. So yeah, it'd be good to see.
Okay, so sorry, I'm looking down here because I did see a thread here earlier on, and it was about the Watch LOI. One of the questions was, anybody having issues watching LOI TV? I'm watching Harps versus Rovers, and it keeps freezing. Angry, with a little angry face. That's exactly what was happening to me at the start. It didn't do it in the second half now, so I did it in the first half, so it did fix it. Someone said they were watching it on the phone. It keeps freezing. I could not get it on my PS4, but it works on my smart TV. They said I'm watching the Derry City match and it's the same. Then someone said it seems okay now. It says the picture for me is good, but listening to Dumb and Dumber commentary is dreadful. Jesus, those two clowns are poor. I think that's a bit harsh, but that might be just a favoritism there towards their own thing. But I think generally there has been a lot of issues with the stream at the start of games. As you said, the Waterford one ended up being a disaster. So this is definitely something they're going to have to look at. But if we look at it overall, I think we're kind of saying once they get that problem solved, the production value is a lot better than what LOI was.
Yeah. There's that half-arsed approach is sort of gone now, and even with the commentary, there's passion there, and even in the Watch League of Ireland this season, it did make a big difference having two people. The one person last year was just horrendous to listen to, so having the two on does make a difference. Having two people, like I said, in the Derry game, they clearly know the league, they clearly know the club, they clearly know the history, the background, and it's nice to listen to, And the boys is going to come into things. It's natural. It's what we are, football fans. But if you can just tone it down a little bit, I didn't know people were being that rude in the comments, so I don't want to do the commentary anymore. And then watching LOI TV. I'm too sensitive.
If you don't know the people are that rude on Facebook and Twitter and stuff, well, then you want to get on there.
I learned not to read the comments a long time ago, man. A long time ago.
Anyhow, we're available. Is that what you're saying? We're available to do any game. We're very neutral.
If people will be nice, that's going to be in my contract clause. People have to be nice.
Right. You're not getting the job, so
okay. Too soft.
Let's run through the Save Talca Park
campaign.
I suppose they're after delving out a bit of information of how they're going to go about whatever they're going to do if they ever get the chance to do it. So give us a shout there.
Yeah, so last night at 7 o'clock, they had an online event. It's when they were releasing the full plans. We obviously talked about it for a couple of weeks now, and we were sort of hard to get into details because details weren't available. But during this, they released a 35-page proposal of what they're going to do. And look, probably, if you want to have an in-depth look at it, I'd recommend going to Save Talca Park. I missed the event myself last night. Didn't really matter. I was able to get up this morning and have a read through it, and really, really informative, really good. And as well, if you're not into reading 35 pages, there is bits you can skip, and it's well designed. The proposal plan itself was really, really commendable, really, really thought out. So, look, the plan is that they're looking to refurbish Talca Park instead of completely knocking it down, turn it into a 6,000-seater stadium, 6,000 plus seater stadium. Which will bring it up to UEFA Category 3, I believe. So that's going to be done in 3 separate phases. Phase 1 will be refurbishing the main stand and the Riverside stand, which are the two stands on the side of the pitches. So that'll cost around 1.325 million to do. Phase 2 will be a demolition of the two stands behind the goal. That's the half stand that you love. You've said it a lot of times, it's your favourite stand in the league. And the colourful stand behind the goal, which is gone by the wayside. And so and then the stand with the colourful seats, the half seats missing, that's the only way I can describe it, colourful seats. That's going to be turned into like a community facility centre. So that's going to be gone, turned into a centre. So the reporting that will cost around 5.425 million, with just because there's going to be more of a demolition more than a refurbishment. It's going to cost more. Then finally, the third phase is they're going to put a new stand behind that goal again, where the community centre is. So it's going to link on with this new community facility. So it'll be easy access for people in and out, especially wheelchair access and things like that. And then they're going to put in a hybrid pitch, and that as well is going to cost about 2.432 million. So a lot of money, obviously, to say, but if you compare that with the Dalymount Park redevelopment, which the price is rising, it's reportedly rising as high as 35 million. That's what this is one of the arguments that they're making, is that you might, instead of having one state-of-the-art facility and knocking down Talca, why don't, instead of redevelopment Dalymount Park, you just refurbish it? So you have two high-quality stadiums in the League of Ireland, in the north side of Dublin, Talca Park around Drumcondra, they were saying it's an area that is crying out for a big facility like this. And of course, the history that goes into Talca, we don't have to tell you, Roy, big shells man like it. It's something that, you know, the Save Talca Park campaign, they said it from the word go. In fairness, it's not they're against the redevelopment in Dalymount. They just feel that the league will benefit from having, the community as well will benefit from having 2 refurbished stadiums in the area.
Yeah. Now, as I said before about the Dalymount one, it was supposed to be 10,000. Then they reduced it down to 6,000. It was supposed to be 10 million. Now it's up to 35 million.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense for me. Like, it's great to have a stadium that's going to look well. The optics of it, it's going to look really well. But 6,000 isn't enough. I don't see how it's, for all that money, that 6,000 seater stadium is any good. And people say, well, they don't get the crowds. Well, if you want to build something and you want to build crowds, well, then 6,000 is going to put you at a limit. Already, they'll fill that stadium with a Shamrock Rovers and Bows game, you know, and more. So they're already behind before they even build this stadium. So 6,000 to me is nonsense. I think that 10,000 was the more realistic to actually benefit from it. I think Bows are such a big club in that area. I think they can build on it. They do fantastic work down there, do fantastic work in the community.
Yeah.
They do fantastic work highlighting certain topics. They've been just a really, really good club over the last while with all that sort of stuff. And to settle, and that's what it looks like to me, to settle for a 6,000 seat stadium just because they do need that help. And I understand why they would look for that. But I would be pushing for more if I was part of that club. I'd be looking to say, listen, we need 10,000 here. If we want to benefit here, and especially with the 2 clubs going into it, it just doesn't make sense to me.
No.
But 10,000 to me would be what I'd be looking at. Or if you had a 6,000 where you could expand, fine, that's great. If there's a chance then to expand after 5 years or 6 years and there's an extra 3,000 or 4,000 seats that you can add onto it, fine, that's great. But if it's going to be solid 6,000 after building everything around it, I just think that's I don't see. The league is progressing, it's getting bigger, you're looking to get more fans in, have the facilities ready for where we want the league to go. And I just think 10,000 is what you can do. And then sure, you can have gigs and everything in the place, you know. So I just think that's something that would bother me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think especially if you look at Bohemian's numbers in terms of season ticket sales and membership, you know, it's one of the highest in the league. It's a club that's known in recent years for drawing a big crowd. Now, there's certain clubs around the country that just aren't, and Bows certainly isn't one of those. It's disappointing to see. I think the whole Dalymount project is a real source of frustration for people at the club, mainly because the hold-up seems to be not the actual stadium, but the redevelopment of the surrounding area. So it's, if you were to come in and refurbish Dalymount alongside Tolka Park, it'd probably be a quicker and cheaper process too. So I think that is the frustrating thing, that it's different if it was a stadium holding up, but it's not. So I think that seems to be a real.
And you do want stuff for the area, like football clubs are about the area, so you do want those facilities too. But the fact that, and it's like this, the Children's Hospital in Dublin and all this, the county councils in Ireland make a balls of a lot of things. And already now this is tripled in price. How they do it, I have no idea. I think they just decide, listen, we'll go with the dearest person that's out there and then we'll give them an extra few quid. But they just seem to make an absolute balls of it. Or they're just not very good at totting up stuff at the start. And then it just goes disastrous. But it's a disaster. If it goes from 10 million, surely that it can be ballpark around that price. The Tolka Park thing, Dalymount looks like that they're saying Dalymount is subject to Tolka being sold. Yeah. So if Tolka isn't sold, does that mean that Dalymount isn't going to get the go ahead?
We were talking about that actually on Wednesday, wasn't it? It was asked you in the podcast. Is we've seen things happen in the league, you know, and is it realistic to come to a stage where the Daily Mount just goes for the wayside. Daily Mount stays the way it is, and Talca stays the way it is, which would be a crying shame. By looking at this, in fairness, I was intrigued. I think more so with the Save Talca Park campaign. You can't really make too much judgment before you see things like this. And after reading it, I will say the idea of having 2 high standards League of Ireland grounds refurbished, it really is appealing, because like you said, there's a real threat of Daily Mount just falling by the wayside and plans falling by the wayside. Going back to we've seen it at Pats, and it's a completely different scenario, it's a much quicker scenario, but plans were somewhat in place, not to this extent, but these things can fall, and it'd be a real shame to see it happening. And yeah, I would really, really like to see it going ahead. The funding, again, it's going to be a question that's thrown out to Talca Park. They were talking about a co-op based fan investment to get the Save Talca Park plans up, talking about funding and donations from the Irish Immigrant Investor Programme. This is an avenue that Meads GAA went down, so there's room for something there. And there's other avenues that they haven't outright named, but there's already actively explored in other avenues. So in fairness, when you're talking about the investment and the funding towards these plans at Talca Park, there seems to be solid ones in place, and maybe it could be the best thing going forward. It's just refurbishing the 2 of them instead of knocking down Talca and starting the game with Daily Mount.
Yeah, I'd love to see Daily Mount refurbished. I'd love to see Talca Park refurbished. The more stadiums, quality looking stadiums, and in all fairness, the artist impressions, whoever the artists are, have done a fantastic job of making them look amazing. And if they turn out that way, absolutely brilliant. That's exactly what you want. You want to see the league up to standard and up to date, really. Because a lot of them are falling apart. And if basically
it's not appealing. Not appealing. If you were to stumble across a game on RTE or whatever, and this is how some people come into the league. They stumble across it, and if you were to see some of the stadiums on the television, it's just not eye catching to watch. And for people that are long-term fans, we're sort of just used to it now, and we go to these stadiums. We're going to go to these stadiums. It doesn't matter. We're going to go support our teams. But that's not the case for a new fan. It's more than football. It needs to be. It's a form of entertainment. It's a night out. It needs to be an attractive thing to do. And just at the moment with the facilities, it's not.
Yeah. Great work done by Bowes. Great work done by the Save Talca Park campaign. Because listen, we want new stadiums. So whatever way it's resolved. If it turns out that just Daily Mount is the thing and the 2 of them are sharing it, fine. Happy days. At least it's a new stadium and it gives the league a boost. I'd be just looking to get the best. If you're going into these things, get the best of what you can get. Sligo Rovers are doing the same. We have clubs who are trying to change the way they're looked at. And again, as I said before, 100 times before, we need the government to start chipping in as much as possible. It's our money. The league needs our money, and the money that we pay in taxes to our government, we need money being put into the clubs around the country. County council, they're run by our money. The people who are in there are employed by our money, and they should be looking out for the areas around the likes of Drumcondra and Phibsborough and Sligo and wherever it is. They need to look out for the people who love football. And once you get those facilities in, you're going to see a broader love for the game. Absolutely no doubt about it. You're going to, as you said, get the new football fan in, someone who is supporting Leeds all their life, but all of a sudden now, this is interesting. I live in Sligo for how long now? And you know what? That's really made it appealing for me now. I can feel like I'm a Sligo fan, where before they mightn't have liked going down. They might have thought, well, this is, Ellen Road is the thing that I've always liked, and it doesn't compare. Sligo or Showgrounds doesn't compare, or whatever comparison you want to make. But I definitely think so. Now I'm bringing this on to Drogheda United, who are actually doing the very same thing. Now these are all plans, and let's hope that these come to fruition. What are they, Nathan?
Yeah, more great work. This is we've talked about Bowes and what they do with the community. All credit to Drogheda United. Again, chatting to Darry Markey during the week, he's in his short time in Drogheda, he was impressed by the community feel in the club, and I think this is just evident of it. So you're going to have Drogheda United, Drogheda boys, and Drogheda girls all coming together under the one Drogheda United banner. So you're going to have 3 separate teams from the same area, linking up together. Which, when you have teams like that, you're stronger, especially in an area like Drogheda. When you have 3 sides, it's just going to be a stronger team. They're looking to develop 40 teams from men's, women's, boys, and girls, all levels. Again, brilliant for the local area. You're hoping that will boost interest. They're looking to build around 2 million or 3 million euro training facility, which it's going to be. So the ground is already there. It's going to be on the ground of Drogheda Boys, so there's no issue in terms of buying ground or anything. That's already there. It's going to have 3 pitches, a brand new clubhouse, a gym. Here we go again, a community facility. So this is all community based, and these are all things that I think if you're a fan of the league, you should be getting behind. You should be supporting, even if it's not in your club. They're hoping that can be completed by the end of 2022, and they're hoping to have a new stadium that's now heading to Game Park. They're hoping to have a new stadium between a 3,000 and 5,000 seat stadium by 2023. So look, all initial plans, all only plans. Nothing set in stone, nothing solid at the moment, but you have to just applaud the effort, and I've thought about you a lot, that this community based, having the clubs based around the community, it's absolutely vital for the league, and it's something that we really should all be championing.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. When you look at what they're talking about, let's just talk about the stadium, 3,000 to 5,000. Again, if they can build on that and add another 2,000-3,000, whatever it is in the future, there's work for that, then brilliant, because we want the league to be in a position where they're not just getting the 4,000 and 5,000s, that eventually, it may be over 10 years, it may be closer to 15 years, that you're getting capacity or attendances in around the 10,000 mark, your 8s, 9s, 10,000 mark. If we have that, that means then the game is looking bigger. It means more sponsors are going to come in. Yep. So we've got to look bigger all the time and not settle for 2,000 and 3,000, but look to aim for the 10,000. I think that's the magic number for us. Then to get to more, as you said, advertising, sponsorship in, and it just, once you get them in, then you're going to get the merchandise is going to start moving, and it just benefits everyone.
It all snowballs.
It all snowballs. And that means more jobs out there for people as well. And that's a huge thing. And I think that's what the government and these county councils need to take in. There's going to be jobs created if we get this going and we get it doing it right. So, I'm delighted to hear that news from Drogheda. Delighted to hear, obviously, Tbko Park, that they're trying to do something there, trying to develop it. Whether that'll happen or not, it looks the least likely to happen. But whether that happens or not, I'd be delighted to see it happen. Obviously, we want to see Daily Mount happen. Again, as I said, with the 10,000 I'd be looking at, and Showgrounds as well, who are looking to it. And you look at Finn Harps, they haven't stopped either. They're looking to get theirs up and going. They've got funding there as well. So, there are clubs out there, and we need all the help we can get. So, we need councillors out there helping the local clubs, not trying to, I suppose, avoid them, because all our clubs have been avoided for far too long.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely time for a change. The Drogheda thing is really, really exciting. It's what's the point of having these clubs dotted out around a certain parish? They might as well all be coming together and making themselves stronger and trying to build something there. I know we've raised the discussion sometimes about in a romantic world, turn the League of Ireland into a GAA-based system where it's county by county. But even doing something like this, if it's town by town, I know Drogheda United is the marquee name in Drogheda. But if you can have these systems, these underage youth systems linking up with the clubs and fully merging into the clubs, it's only going to benefit the on-field. And then, like we said, that's going to snowball. Once the on-field improves, once the facility improves, once the crowd number improves, it all links in together, and it all just makes everything better for the league that we love. Okay,
Nathan, we're going to leave it there. That is another wrap for after our midterm break, I suppose we'll call it. And great results, some great results again. Games tomorrow, obviously, and we're back in the flow again. At the moment, Sligo are still top of the table and have a chance now tomorrow to go 3 points clear. Imagine that. We wouldn't have thought that at the start of the season. Nathan, talk to you next week. Oh,